One more time, one more time, one more time, one more time, one more time.
You know what it is. This is the Other Podcast. I am Tony Baptiste, your designated other. Now, I just want to do a quick little preamble before we go ahead and start the conversation. I thought I really had a good conversation, but before I get into any of that, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to support the same thing, you just do the same thing. Enjoy the show, watch the videos, listen to us on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. And just enjoy the show, watch it, and interact. Just let us know in the comments anywhere where we can improve, or what if you see anything wrong or anything that is blatant that can easily be fixed, so the podcast can get better. So now on this episode, I talked to my friend Rafael. He's a good friend. I've known him for a little while. He was actually my boss. I used to work with him at a place called Unity when he opened the recovery center. Now, we kind of go through that and his story and his battle with addiction and how he got out of it, and then starting a business where he basically helps people that were in addiction. So we go through the ups and downs of everything that he went through with that. He's a guy that I know that really helps others, that has a heart for people. And I thought it would be complicated because, for some people, this guy is a Christian Trump supporter, so that may not be, some of the people that you hear from or talk too much. But yeah, he's a good guy. We did get into politics stuff at the end, which I think is interesting, and it was a nice conversation. So yeah, we just go through a whole bunch of things. The last thing I do want to mention, just so you guys know, I tell Raph a story about a transsexual guy that I met. And I just want to let you know, I'm not, as I go through the story, it's kind of clunky, and I wasn't trying to misgender that person at all. That the person actually didn't have any pronouns that they specifically wanted to go by, because they were kind of still figuring out what they wanted to do. So you guys, I know that sounds pretty interesting. Go ahead and listen to the podcast, and you understand what I mean. No offense by it at all. I was just trying to get a message and an idea across to a friend.
Also, bear with the sound for the first, I think, 14 minutes and 30-something odd seconds. If you're watching the videos, you'll see that we went from a song straight into recording. I usually have a break before there, but we just kind of rolled in, and I didn't press the record button on the main audio. So you'll see me about 14 minutes kind of click down and the sound change. So the first 14 minutes are actually good. The sound isn't that much, isn't as bad as you may think. Bear with that for the first couple minutes, and you get the.
So again, thank you for everything that you guys do. Thank you for listening, for everybody who subscribes and follows and contacts me. And you guys enjoyed this episode. You can talk right now. You heard it the other day?
Yeah.
That's so funny, because you heard the song, I have to listen to it.
Yo, that's hilarious.
Yeah, man. No, I heard it this morning. I was like, oh, that'd be funny, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk to Rap today. I'm like, I wonder what he was doing when this song came out. So what were you doing when this song came out?
Wow. Man, what is that? Like the 90s, right? Late 90s?
Yeah, hold on, let me find out. Go ahead.
I think it's like the late 90s.
No, it's not late 90s. Or maybe not 96, probably.
Yeah?
95, 96? Yeah, probably. Return of the Mac. I'll find out.
Wow.
I like to do that because
That's what's awesome about music. It takes you back to what you were doing.
I was just about to tell you, that's why I do the pure playlist, and I ask that question, like, what
Yeah.
what were you doing? Think about that time, because then it gets you. And I do it before the show. 96, thank you. I do it before the show because I want to get you in that mode.
Yeah.
So that's the whole trick. So what were you doing at that time on this?
Yeah, probably selling drugs.
Really? 1996. So when was Ariana born?
96.
Oh my gosh! So
Yeah.
he said probably. You was freaking out trying to make that money.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yep. So
How old were you?
96, I was 21, I believe.
Wow.
22.
Wow. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Were you married yet?
I didn't get married. I was with Beth. Ariana was like 7 years old before I got married.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Dang, man.
Yeah, we were wilding. Ariana saw a lot.
I always hear that. And I don't want to hear, like, it doesn't have to be like all the crazy stuff, but it's
Yeah.
like, that's a time when you're going to be a father. Like, what was that like, bro? Like the first...
You know, it's funny because we weren't Christians, so my first thought was, yo, you need to have an abortion.
Ooh, okay.
You know?
Yeah, man.
I was like, you need to have an abortion, man.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to be a dad, but, when Beth was like, I'm gonna happen with or without you. You know, I was like, well, I gotta step up. You know, I
Wow,
need to
bro.
be a dad, and
Huh.
and it was a lot of turmoil. You know,
Yeah.
trying to learn how to be a dad.
Yeah.
You know, still wanted to be a kid because you're still hanging. You know.
Yeah, exactly, yo. And like, I'm thinking like, there's times in people's lives that are pivotal, right? And like that you always remember. It's like the first, and that's a life change because now you're a father forever. You know what I mean? Until, until we pass. So it's for the rest of your life. You know. Then when you get married, you know, or divorced or whatever happens in your life, you know, your conversion to Christ or whatever religion you know what I mean? Like certain times that you just wake up in life. And I feel like, and kind of like what we're talking about with Zeus and all that, and this is almost finished, but I just want to make sure it doesn't repeat, and then we will go ahead and start the podcast. But one thing about the thing with Zeus is I think that we're at one of those times. I feel like I'm at one of those times in my life where I'm going to another level, on another plateau. And I don't mean like, oh, I've been doing so good, I'm going on another plateau. No. It's like, oh, my eyes are opening to what God really wants me to do in my life and what my purpose is.
Yeah.
You know? And it's crazy. And that's why I have you here too, because I'm at the beginning of the first thing I'm trying to build, where you've, you know, been down up that mountain, you know what I mean? It's like where you think, and I think maybe this thing is my purpose now, and it's not. And maybe that thing wasn't my ultimate purpose, or whatever, you know. Or maybe you think that drug recovery is your ultimate purpose, and that's what I want to have this conversation about.
Yeah, I think we can all learn from each other always, no matter the age. Mm-hmm. But there's something that it's true. Like with age comes wisdom, only because you know that somebody who's 50 years old has been through stuff that, you know, a 30-year-old hasn't been to.
Exactly.
And I was just having this conversation with my son-in-law.
That's awesome.
Because I was telling him, I'm like, you know, I feel like you go through, like you just said, I mean, I'm coming to a different level.
Like a plateau.
And I feel like that's our lives always.
Yes.
You know, like I'm about to hit my 50s in a couple years, and it's now I see like, oh man, it's a whole different part of life. You feel like even the way you think, the way you
can control yourself.
Like you said something before, evolving. We're evolving
exactly.
as humans.
Yeah, and I see it in so many people, man. And again, like I was telling you before, the other thing that I see is that I don't think sometimes we give enough people that same grace as far as like when they're going through something. You know what I mean? Or sometimes before, because this is how I look at it, like with the levels, what you're saying. I'm seeing on a new we're seeing on a new plateau where then you can see above like some of the emotions that you may have had before, or you learn more about yourself and then you defeat those things. You know what I mean? Like certain traumas that you went through, and I mean like stuff that you have to go to therapists for, or you know, things that happen with your parents, and you become more you.
Yes.
You discover who that is almost. It's like discovering who that is. You know what I mean? And then when you get to that level, then you can see above what you saw before. You know what I mean? And yeah.
And I think that we go through these things also, so you know we can bring it to other people. You know what I mean?
That was my next thing. Yeah, it's to spread it. That's why I'm doing this.
Yes.
That's what the whole purpose of recording this and sharing these conversations.
Exactly, because you know what? I remember you on the podcast with Johnny, and I thought it was amazing the way you guys disagreed, but were able to talk about things and agreed on some things. But that's what it's about, you know, learning to talk things out. I think right now with everything going on in the world, this is what we see is no tolerance. Nobody wants to hear the next person,
and give them space to grow. Because you know, like how sometimes people will go back into somebody's social media and it's like, yeah, but that was 5 years ago. That's a different person. Actually, let me use this example. Me and Jermaine were talking the other day about some of the race stuff, and one fear that we have, and I had this legitimate fear, if I ever make one mistake with the police or something like that, I know I have a criminal record. You know what I mean? That what if they find something in my system at the time? And now that gets in the news, and that's the picture. Not to you, you know what I mean, but to people who don't know, you know what I'm trying to say. So it goes back to something that we said, the news and all of that. But the point is that even that attitude, like in cancel culture too, like when people look back at people's Twitter stuff and they try to cancel them, but then also like in that sense where it's like you don't know that story, and that person, you know, I got arrested 10 years ago, let's say. I'm a totally different person now. So if
Yes.
something happens, you can't judge me off one of my worst
What
moments in my
happened back
life.
then, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
And that's one of the lowest moments in my life. And we've seen a lot of people at low moments because you had the recovery center. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And you've seen a
Yes.
lot more than me. You know, I
Mhm.
worked for you at the time. You know, but so we know what that is, and we know what to have that compassion is. You know, but I think we don't. We all assume that we're that compassionate, but we just fall in the mob mentality, just like everybody else, and just like humanity has done
Yeah.
for years. You know what I mean?
And you said something big before, which is grace. I think that's something that's hard for people to have or even give, and we all become judgmental, and I think we got to catch ourselves sometimes.
Yes. I agree.
You know, because even I'm gonna say just for myself, like sometimes I'm telling people, I don't be judgmental, grace, but then every once in a while you catch yourself and you're like, wait, I'm judging this person or I'm judging this, and you got to catch yourself. So
Yeah.
you realize what you're doing, and but I think that's where forgiveness comes in. That's why we all got to be forgiving no matter what.
But the
man.
problem is this, like that example that you just used, where you said that, like, it may be a friend, then you judge that person, and then you have to kind of catch yourself. The thing about the forgiveness part is that if you're doing that to me, and I'm saying I do this too, you never go to that person and tell them you're judging them beforehand, because you're afraid of that they're not going to give you that forgiveness and that grace. So that's the thing that, like, what other is about is like, we just try to do it, because we're gonna mess up, and I'm gonna mess up, like, and I know people are gonna say, "Oh, you're not the great conversationist that you thought." That's not what I think of myself. I just think of myself as wanting to go out there and make a difference, because I think if people listen to this and people kind of see maybe that example, and then or somebody that watches comes on, and then they can debate me or just try to convince me, or however you want to talk about it, like, that's what I want it to be, because I want to grow too. I don't know everything.
I agree.
And that's the thing I think about the new plateau. I think the newest plateau was like, oh, I'm free not to know stuff because I don't know anything. You just learn that you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be vulnerable in order to grow. I think so.
No, 1,000%, bro. That's that's the message.
Taking it back to the treatment center, like you said, I remember when we started how.
Yeah, what's going on?
I didn't even know how I was gonna be towards. Oh, my bad.
No,
towards.
If it happens to skip people.
Yeah. But I didn't know how I was gonna be towards the clients.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't used to. This was new to me too. So when I went in, I had a very compassionate heart, and I didn't realize that in this industry, or the industry of recovery, a lot of people don't recover.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, you were there, you see them, they were repeat offenders.
Yeah.
And
then they blame it on you.
Yeah, then you're the one that didn't do things right.
Yeah.
You didn't know how to run stuff. But it's in every treatment center. But what I was saying is, it's like anything else. You start to get callous.
Yeah.
To where you came in, and I saw the compassion that you had. I had already been doing this for so long that I was almost like, well, he did this, and that was his problem, But I still remember in the beginning, the first year, I would come home crying.
Wow.
Somebody overdosed, I would cry, and Beth would be like, look, you want to do this? Stick it up. You got to get your butt up and do it again. Go do it for the next guy.
Yeah. I don't want to jump to the end, but maybe I shouldn't, but I want to know, I'm curious, what did you learn? If you could look back at that whole time, we can go over the story, I guess, naturally, but what did you learn?
What did I learn out of having a business? Out of which part?
The compassionate part. How did, like the callousness, and then how did you come out of that, or which part of it was right? Because some of that callousness is right. You know what I mean? You got to kind of have a chip on your shoulder a little bit.
I just think if I was to do it again, I would definitely be more hands-on again. Because like you said, you get complacent, and once your business is growing, you start to step back, and it's like, wait, other people are running it, so it's okay.
But they're not you. It's like
they're not. It wasn't exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's
so everything
crazy.
did start to change, on the way the business was running.
It didn't represent you. It didn't represent
Yeah.
And maybe it did at the time because it was college or whatever. Who knows? But but not the vision. It didn't represent the vision.
And the reason why it grew in the beginning was because they did know my name from the halfway houses out here, and I did. Everything just changed from there. So.
It was the goodwill
Mm-hmm.
that drew people to you, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing, bro.
And I think like I said,
Joe.
I'm keeping it real.
Mm-hmm.
The money starts to come in,
Yeah.
you start to,
Yeah.
stir away.
And have you ever dealt with that type of money at that time? Like,
No.
I don't. Yeah, see, that's what I think, and I'm not trying to like. Somebody might hear this from the outside, and be like, I'm trying to make an excuse for you because you're my friend. But I think about me. Like, if I got that amount of money, I don't handle my money now.
It was a learning process.
Yeah, exactly. How what I'm trying to. Obviously, I'm admitting this because I'm trying to get better at it and move forward. But
you know what it is when you open something and you see it going, it's like an oiled machine and it's running and you think it's never gonna end.
Yeah.
This thing is going smoothly. I mean, I had almost 50 employees.
Yeah.
And the checks that were coming in were just like something that you think, oh yeah. And so I just thought it was never gonna end. And when it started cutting short, it was a realization like, man, wait, I should have done something with the money that was coming in, not just living for the moment.
Mm-hmm. The last episode I had DP on, Disciple.
Yeah.
He said the same thing.
Yeah,
the same
man.
exact thing. It's like he's learning before he starts whatever he's starting. That because he wants it to be anonymous, whatever. He's trying to figure, get things together. But he wants to learn all that stuff first.
But I think that everybody has to learn.
In their own way.
If you look at most of the people that are successful, they have failed quite a few times before they go up. So, I'm not giving up. I had, I know you guys know Nestor invested with us and he helped. So
that's my man. What's up, Nestor? What up?
Yeah, and yeah, he was great. Like I said, a lot of things started going in opposite directions and relationships started tearing up and that's what hurt me the most. Like honestly, to me, honestly, losing the business was one of the best things because it made me and my wife closer. It made us realize, sometimes when you have money coming in, everybody starts going their own separate ways because it's like, wait, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
You go here, you go. But again, nobody wishes they lost their business, but at the same time,
bro,
it was a blessing.
You have to go through what you go through, but that's the whole thing we were talking about from the beginning, right? The whole thing that we're talking about from the beginning is you have to go through what you go through, and somebody could look at you and be like, well, I don't care. He had that much money and then he wasted it and and have no compassion because they never had that type of money before. Like that's an easy attitude to have, but I also look at it like I've never been in that position, so how do I know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that like maybe you went through that so I can grow.
Yeah,
I don't know what the big plan is.
Exactly. I don't know what God's plan is, but I feel God is sovereign and things happen. And if He wanted it up, that thing would have still been flourishing. You know?
And the biggest thing is there's a deeper thing that He's always trying to teach us in the lesson. Like He's trying to, He's like, I'll take away everything, because you're more important than this. I don't want your success. I want you. To be,
don't get lost.
Yes, I want you, and I want you to be doing what I told you to do, so other people can have the same joy. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, what He's trying to like. When it comes to your relationship with God, and if you're, when you're doing stuff for Him, it's like He don't need you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what He's trying to show you.
Yeah.
He don't need you.
And it is my passion. You know that.
Yeah.
You asked me. It is my passion. I've been there. I know what it is to struggle.
Yeah. So can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah.
How about your past?
The reason why I'm in Florida is because I was, messing around. We started over there. We lived in a predominantly black and Hispanic area, and everything around us was white.
In what city?
It's Rockland County, New York, which is across the river from Westchester. We're like half hour from the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
And what we would do is they wouldn't allow the white people to come into our town because if they saw them there, you get pulled over and then they find you with drugs. You get it. So it starts off where you know how to make little money on the side, so you were able to get stuff. So bring it to them, or tell them meet you somewhere and you make it. You make your money. So
you remember the first time that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I mean,
Could you
of
tell us?
course.
I want to hear it. Could I hear? Could you tell the story? Like, how'd that go down?
Well, of course, everybody starts off with weed.
Yeah,
You got you a couple friends. Hey, can you get me dime bags?
Yeah.
You get
How
them.
old were you at the time?
Probably 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about
That's
15.
late now, actually.
Yeah, that's late. Kids now are doing it at 11.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, it starts off like that, and then you started hanging with the bigger crowd, the guys that are doing the coke.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're the one making trips to New York City for them, bringing the stuff back.
Yeah.
And they're giving you $400 or $500 when you're 17 years old, and you're getting $400 for bringing back a kilo on the thing. You're like, man, you're golden.
Heck yeah.
So
that's a crazy experience, bro.
Yeah, and then from there it was you hung out with the guys that were doing it, so you tried it, and you think you have control. But that's the thing with drugs. In the beginning, you think you have control of it.
Yeah.
And eventually, it gets you, and now you need it.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened, man. Towards the end, by how I got here.
Yeah. How'd you come out of it? Yeah.
I saw myself. Beth had left me and told me, you gotta go. You're not doing this in my house no more.
Yeah.
My kids. Isabella was born.
That's your second daughter.
The second one.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing this. So I kind of hit a low point where now I'm by myself. I got a room somewhere, and I was by myself, and when you're by yourself, even more depressing.
Yeah.
I was drinking every day and getting high, and I mean, I think I weighed like 140 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I knew this is funny because I used her pastor because we had gotten married by then.
Oh, okay.
And I used her pastor on her. I was like, "Hey, wait a minute! Doesn't the Bible say she ain't supposed to divorce me?"
Oh, Lord.
So he spoke to her and stuff, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, man, he's willing to try whatever." And then she was like, "Listen, we'll make it, but I mean, I'll give it a try. But if we get out of here." And I was willing to leave, man. I have my whole family in New York, everybody.
Wow.
And we took that chance of having nobody out here. We left, came to Coral Springs. That's where we met Philip.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Philip.
Yeah, Philip. What up, boy? That cat. He'll never see this number, and I'm gonna force it on him when it could be mentioned. But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I met Philip and Aldo and them. We all lived in the same area. So that's how I got. And then he introduced me to Jesus. So that's how we ended up moving up this way. Afterwards.
Yeah. I remember all that. Yeah, that's when we first met.
That's when we met all of you. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, because if you listen to the first episode, as that's going on, what we were talking about goes on.
You know what's crazy is looking back now how your steps are ordained. You know,
bro.
like you come here and like I have a family now. You guys are
Yeah, I know. Because we've seen each other's kids grow.
Yeah,
all of that stuff, man.
It's nuts. Man.
I know, bro. Because and then when I see Bug, like when I see that cat, bro, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Because especially I didn't see him in so long. I think he was like maybe like 7 when I saw him.
Yeah,
this cat was like 17 when I saw him. No, he's not even. How old is this cat right now?
Who?
Bug, Junior.
Yeah, right.
How old is this cat?
He's Isabella's age, so he's like, he's 18.
Yeah, see, like that's
he's
crazy.
Like 18.
When I seen him, he taller than me. Like he was like 2 of me, bro. But that's
I know
that
they
doesn't
were
take
babies.
much.
Isn't that crazy? They were babies, man.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean. But to your point, like we have a family and how everything got brought together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. But so going back to the story, so you used her pastor. She said as long as y'all dipped, y'all came to Florida. You have your kids.
So we came out here the first night. We had no furniture, no anything. We rented a place, and the first thing I see is Jesus loves you in the sky.
Like the air sky writing or whatever skywriting.
I was like, this is awkward. Like, why? And she had been talking to me about church, and because she got saved first.
Yeah.
And she was always, and I'm like, man, I even just started going to church because I was kind of jealous of Jesus. Like, yo, why you with this man? With this man? Like, who is this? So yeah, I would be upset, man.
Yeah.
So I eventually, started. She's like, hey, come to Bible studies and check it out.
Yeah.
Nah, I ain't got no gear. I don't have clothes. You don't need clothes, man. but I did. I ended up going and I would listen, but I still had a foot in the world. You know what I mean? I wanted to hear what was going on, but I loved doing my own stuff. You know.
But then you didn't at the same time, right? Because you knew where it got you. It got you down here, you know. So
And then one day I went to this church, a Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
And I had been listening to this song, Shekinah Glory. I don't know if...
No, I never heard it.
It's a Pentecostal song, and it's called Say Yes. So the song was saying, you know, if I told you what I really need, would you say yes? You know, and I heard it, and it kind of spoke to me. I was like, man, you know, I feel like God is really talking to me. Like, I gotta stop all these things that I'm doing and not really giving myself to the Lord. And I end up going to this church, and out of nowhere, the song starts playing. The song starts playing, and I'm like, whoa, I've been listening to that song all week. And I just happened to visit, you know, and then there's a lady up there, you know, Pentecostal church. So it's like
she the prophetess. Yeah, I got you. She the prophetess. She about to tell you what's going on.
But hey, like I said, God made a.
Come on, God made what he taught from a donkey, bro. He uses me, and I'm worse than a donkey. So I feel you.
And I'm telling you, like, when that song came on, and she called me from the back. Out of anybody in the place, me that I had been listening to the song, called me from the back and told me everything I had been doing. You've been getting high, all this stuff, and she's like, God's breaking those chains, you know, and from there, you know, she's like, God's going to use you to go back and get the ones that are too weak to get up themselves. And so
and then you started the business how many years later?
I
know this story. I know. I'm not trying to jump, but I'm just saying.
Well, the funny part is...
this guy got the towel.
Yeah, right. This is my towel,
you know? You go. You preaching. Go ahead.
But the funny part is you go, you know, I heard all this stuff, and for about 4 or 5 years, I sat there like, wait a minute. I'm over here at Terminex killing bugs. Like, God, what? I thought I was going to help people. Why you got me killing bugs, man? And
amen. I feel that one.
Yep. So one day I walk into Publix, and some guy out of nowhere just asked me if I want to own halfway houses. Just out of nowhere. And
what?
And it's like a light bulb came on, and it was like, it's time. You know, it's time. And you know what's crazy also? I just want to take it back. One of the first, you know, I never opened the Bible or whatever, and one of the first verses that I read when that happened to me was Isaiah 6, when it says, whom shall I send?
Oh, wow.
That was like the first verse that I ever read in the Bible. And it was just like, whoa, like, man, like, God's really talking to me right now.
What does it say clearly? Like for people who don't know.
When he's talking to Isaiah, right? Or
I mean, he sees the angel, the serpent.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but exactly like it says, "Who will I send?"
Whom shall I send? Right?
Yeah. Whom shall I send?
And when he says, "I'm of unclean lips," or
and then he says, "Here I am, Lord, send me." That's basically what you're saying.
Yes.
So that's kind of always been in your mind and motivated you to be able to help people.
Yes. So I knew I had a purpose. Like, I wasn't gonna take what I've been through and not use it for God's glory. So but I prayed about it. You know, I kept trying to learn more about scripture and, you know, who was God. And like I said, when I got into the store, it was almost like a light bulb went off when the guy asked me.
When the guy asked you,
do you want to own halfway houses? And I'm like, man, that's so weird that he's asking me out of all people in Publix. And so I was like, man, I would love to. I said, that's my, you know, dream, whatever. Check this out. The following day, I go to work, Terminex, go into this lady's house. This lady asks me, he was my first client, as a matter of fact, because the lady asks me, what do you know, I forgot. Oh, I was telling her that I had come and I'm trying to open these I want to open a treatment center, this and that. She says, well, I'll tell you what. She's like, that sounds amazing. How about you take my son and I'll write you a check right now.
She's just playing?
Yeah, I was like, yeah. She's like, no, I'm serious. Like, how much do you need to get started? I said, well, I got to give the guy like $10,000 just for the houses that he has. She pulled out a checkbook, wrote $10,000 check right there. And
Wow.
that's when I was like, man, wait a minute, these are two things in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
I got the check, gave it to the dude, and I went off from there.
Dang, just like that.
Beth helped me get pamphlets ready. I went on to all the treatment centers and just passed them out and told them I have halfway houses. I'm willing to take your guys when they come out. I'll help them get on their feet. I'll bring them back to you if they relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And my name got around from there. Everybody, my house is filled up right away.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. You never told me that story.
where
I never heard that.
That's how I met Casey, man.
Oh, really,
Rest in
man?
peace,
Rest in
man.
peace, Casey.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, he was one of your first clients?
Well, yeah, he was one of the first, man.
Wow, man.
Yeah, knucklehead.
Yeah, right. You talk to? Do you still kind of talk to anybody from any patients?
Yeah, I have about 5 of them that still really call me. You know?
Oh, nice.
There's a place in Jersey, Discovery.
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick owns it. Nick Boatman.
Yeah.
Nick Boatman. Sean works for him. My boy Mark. They all work over there. So.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, so you get to, damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know there's so many people that I met over the years just working as a behavioral health tech there. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but I always tell these people this, that you may understand this more, that like what my experience was through that. It was one of those plateau moments, but I didn't get there until like recently, but it was the beginning of me realizing that a lot of the stuff I believed about how to live in the world as a Christian was wrong.
Yeah.
Because it didn't jive, it didn't help these people.
No, you pushed them away.
And listen, I've always had success with that because I adapted on the fly. And let me tell you a story, something that happened, like that. One of the things that changed my mind, especially when it came to like homosexuality and stuff like that. But there was I'm not going to name names of the people that are involved, of course. So you had a tech there, and there was a guy there. She was born a female, but she was going to transition to a guy. She was transsexual, and she came in and did her intake process and all of that stuff, right? So she came in with a guitar, and when I first saw her coming in with the intake, I'm like, okay, that's the way I think about people was like, oh, that's the thing I'm gonna use to talk to her, right? Because I love music anyways, you know what I mean? So and if she has talent, I want to encourage, because that's one thing I love to do. So, a couple of days later, so I was cool with her. We started binge watching shows, and I let her sit in with the guys because nobody was trying to like hit on her. Now we were just chilling, watch a Game of Thrones or something. We always would start series and just sit because we were with them for 7 days in a row, so we could finish the whole series because they're doing nothing, So, so we would sit there. We were watching TV, and then the next shift came, and I didn't. I'm talking to you like you're my boss, but I didn't tell the next shift, Rafael. So that was my fault in the matter. But so I didn't tell the next shift. But the way the person acted, they didn't have to act like that. That happened all the time. Yeah. But they were like, "Well, who did your search? You got to sit with the girls. Who did your search?" Just being unreasonable about the rules. Like, yeah, you can bend that rule. Nobody's trying to hit on this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, anyways, this girl, when I picked her up, like we listened to music together. She talked about her music. That's right, in the car. Sorry.
I'm gotta use discernment in those moments.
Exactly. So, but she knew I was a Christian. We didn't talk about Christ or anything like that. We was just talking, So then, when it happened, she came to me because she had trusted me, and she was like, "Yo, this is what this cat said," and I got heated. You know what I mean? So I went to Fredo, and I didn't have to say much. You know what I mean? Because he, his heart. You know what I mean? As far as the people go. You know what I mean? Like Fredo, he's 100.
Yeah, he had a big heart.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes too big, right? Me too. I'm not saying that about you, Fredo. I'm saying that about anybody who has a big heart. But so he heard it, and he just talked to the person very calmly, like, "Hey, it shouldn't be like that." They didn't take it, of course. Some people thought they was like the king of their own castle, but they didn't take it, of course. But just that action alone, then I got my phone out and looked. Her stuff was on iTunes. We started talking, and she goes, "Man, I think I want to come to Jesus."
Wow.
And this is the thing that that I learned at that moment. Because remember, I'm telling you a story of where I learned where everything I learned was wrong. Mm-hmm. Not everything, but a lot of the way to live in the world. So what did I learn? I didn't have an answer. Not that I said the thing, the Christian things and whatnot, and she listened too, and I was like, yo, and I wasn't shying away from Romans or nothing like that, and I said, listen, like all you had to do is pray right now. I said, and this is the thing that killed me, bro. I said, but I don't know how you're going to be a Christian because there's nobody that's going to help you.
Wow.
Except me. That was the only person I could trust at that time because I just learned that thing then, and my compassion for that person. Because I thought about everybody that I knew, and I'm like, if that person, if she did really accept Christ and she wants to be a Christian, nobody's going to understand that struggle. People need to hear more stories. That's and that was the first story, and just interacting with people, and this is what this is about. Just interacting with people in that way was like, it changed me, bro. It changed me. So now it's like I just didn't throw everything away. I just thought, okay, let me question everything that I believe. Not just I'm questioning you or the people who oppose me, but let me question what I believe in, and then line it, and then look at the Bible and see if I disagree with the Bible. See if I'm just reading it wrong. See, you know what I mean? What's the problem? You know, and that's a whole lifetime of growth. You know, I'm kind of on a rant right now. That's a whole.
I hear what you're saying, though.
Yeah, it's a whole lifetime of growth, but the point was you get to that point where you feel like you know everything you needed to know, and then all you do, and for me it was just like I wasn't useful. And when I got put in that situation just by getting that job with you, it was like it took me to where it's like, oh, I gotta just start questioning myself, and I broke down a lot of, I had to break down a lot of stuff. I
think we on what you're saying, we need to meet people where they're at. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what it is. Sometimes we want to bring people up to a certain standard, to make it, oh, this is what a Christian is. Oh, you want to be a Christian, and this is what you got to be. I was talking with Pastor John, the other day, and he says he told me Spanish people especially, which is crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Spanish people don't want to hear you tell them about the gospel or whatever. Not saying that, of course, we're supposed to give the gospel, but what I'm saying is people will believe you more if you're living with them.
It's easy. It's easy. I was telling people, I was like,
you have to dine with them, you have to hang out with them, you got to go to their parties.
This is the thing that I learned. It's even I'm going an even deeper level. I'm even offended that you're saying them. We're not offended like that.
But I mean like Spanish?
No. But them is separating you from, because you learn the same way they learn.
Yes.
So and this is one thing.
No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Well, not only that, but it gets a little deeper. Him and me talk about. He knows where I'm going. Jotty off camera, by the way. He knows where I'm going. I think even the whole sacred and secular divide, the way that evangelical Christians in America view it today, is not only unbiblical, it's wrong, and it leads to the us and them, and that's what I mean. And so then it's like, so if you look at me as them and you say, hey, I'm gonna go and dine with them, I'm like, I don't want to hang out with you if I'm them. And that's the problem. It's deeper than just, this is what we have to do. It's like, no, this is who I have to be, because it's easy for me to say, hey, you just can come over to my house for 2 hours and basically have free reign. You're gonna talk to me on a podcast, and then we share some burgers, and our kids are gonna chill, and you know what I mean. No matter where you're at, no matter where, if you're gay, that the one girl, I forget her name, but I don't care. Am I gonna be like, once you see that, I could tell her I'm a Scientologist. She'd probably follow me. I'm not gonna do that, but you know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. It's true when you cause that. You already put a barrier when you're saying us.
It's in. I believe it's in evangelical thinking, and so I always say to people, I was like, man, the and everybody knows this. The best Christians are the ones that just begin, because they're still there. They still know how the world goes, but then what happens is you start
theology.
Well, no, it's not theology. It's the church, bro. It's theology is a part of it, but also the church, man. Like they have this culture. Because remember, there's some people that are like this that aren't theology heads. They're just Pharisees, anyways, because their heart is hard. You know what I mean? Like straight up. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but I don't know how any way to talk. I'm sorry.
I hear you.
Sorry, but yeah, I've got a rant, but I'll let you go ahead and take that drink. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's deeper than that. Where I've kind of pinned it is like the sacred and secular divide. It's like, oh, this is secular music, or this is secular this, and it's like, that's all market if you think about it. Like, most of it separates markets. Like, why does the church look at it this way? Like, we have our neighbors, it's easy. We're just human beings, and I call it like love grenades. You know, I love people. Christians want to be say that they're loving, but they kind of just, I love you, boom, and then let that blow off and run away. You know what I mean? But you're not there. You know, so those facts don't matter. Those facts have to have feet. I'm done.
No, I understand
What do you
you're
feel
saying
about that?
Well, I hear what you're saying, and it's true. We have to be. But what do you say when the Bible is telling us though to be holy and to? What do you think about that?
I think holy means separate, like God, right? Because what holy means is like separate, something totally different, something other. So, right? So that's what we have to be. What I realize is no matter if you're whatever religion, whatever political party, the same thing haunts people. They all do the same thing, and not just not this ominous sin, but like the fact that people don't naturally show grace, like we've been talking about. Like people don't naturally show mercy. That we all want to receive it, but we all are blind that we don't give it.
Okay.
So the fact of the matter is that like we have we just have that is the main problem with the way that we think. You know, because you have that view, and then now we're just all fighting. But I lost track of your question.
The fact that the Bible is asking
that's what
us
it's holy.
to be separated.
So what I think what separated means is that you're actually showing that love, mercy, and grace, and that's the difference. The thing that we were talking about. That's the holiness, not just because the thing is, when you think about holy and separate, even the things that the church has told us that separate from them aren't even in the Bible. Cussing.
Yeah.
You're free to do that or not. Or, you know what I mean, drugs. And now we know more about drugs. Even the name drugs are put on certain drugs is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so even those things that, like, they were cultural things. They were just cultural. They weren't anything that was biblical. So then we let those things now separate us from people.
Wow. Okay.
And now the antidote's not there.
Yeah.
Like, bro, and again, people who aren't Christians, I don't want you guys to feel like offended, like somebody's trying to push anything on you. The only thing I'm trying to push on you is the actual principles of what I just said. Those
love,
the grace, love,
yes.
and then know what the funny thing
Fruits
about
of the Spirit.
I was just about to say the funny
Fruits
thing
of the
is,
Spirit.
so you see how clear it is in the Bible. With the fruits of the Spirit, mean is if you have the Spirit and you're in God's Spirit, you will look like this.
Yes.
But then that list. You can't throw those with grenades. You can't throw those with grenades.
No.
You learn through screwing up. You learn
love is unconditional and continually being there. Yeah. Bro. I hear you, man. Walking alongside somebody.
You know, so my thing is even the definitions of
that was good. I didn't see things in that way, but by what you said there, but
well, that's what I'm saying. Even the definitions of what we think is holy is like something that's just something that only happens in America. But if you go to a church in China or in a church in somewhere else, it's gonna be different, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say? It's not because cultures are different. So the thing is, those things I think that God has left open to the Holy Spirit for you to figure it out. You know what I mean? And that's the adventure of walking with Him. But there are things that are solid. You know what I mean? But even then, that's what grace is for. Because when you slip on those things that are black and white, those laws that are objective, you can get back up and learn from it and keep on moving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That reminds me, like you said, it depends on the time and stuff like that, because you brought that up to me last time.
What do you mean depends on the time?
Like everything is for its, you know, like we were saying, China has, you know, it's the cultural. But I remember you telling me about even worship.
Yes, applying rules from 1915 to now.
Yes, that this is the way we're supposed to worship. When at the end of the day, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. We got to wipe, right? Pause. Time out. You guys already know, and I'm probably gonna skip this, or maybe not, because it may be funny.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you were telling me that it's true. Who's to say?
God doesn't say clearly. It's just you. You saying it's your interpretation. You think God doesn't want you? Not to say that you have your own interpretation of the Bible. I mean, you have your own. You have to figure out how to make it practical in this day and age. Because if 1,000 years from now, it's not going to be the same things that you have to do, because there was no social media. You know what I mean? There was no internet. You know, things change in real life. You know, and I think there's people. And again, I'm going on, but people are just blind to that.
And you know what's crazy? Like even now, we have this
into the mic, my homie.
We have this cultural. like now there's so many different cultures.
Yes.
And who's to say, the right way is the one way that culture is doing? Oh, it's their way or it's their way.
Yep.
That's
I mean, God, at the end of the day, that's the answer.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know you know that. I'm just saying.
But I'm just saying the way that we worship and the way that
Yeah. It's hard if you go to if some church gets planted somewhere in
Jamaica
and then you
whatever,
go there and they're doing something different. You're like, yo, like
wait a minute,
this isn't the way it's supposed to be done. Oh no,
they're not doing hymns.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and that's a little bit, anyways. But the point is that like things are more subjective, and I just think people are afraid of that. They want laws. I do this. Who in the Bible also acted like that? Oh yeah, the people that killed them, the Pharisees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah. So you have to think. You know what I mean? Like I'm not afraid now just to be like, people are using Jesus' name, bro, for some of the most wicked things, bro, that they don't realize. Like, it's not wicked because it's not like you're not getting arrested on cops or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's wicked. But like, I mean, the real things with like holding that love. If you claiming that you have the answer and holding it back from that is a wicked thing, bro.
And you know what it is? We worry about ourselves before we worry about anybody else. When you love somebody, I mean, people back in the Bible in the beginning, they gave everything and left everything to be a community and be there for the next person. I'm gonna carry your burdens. Oh, you're hurting, I'm hurting.
Exactly.
And I think nowadays we play it safe. Wait, I gotta make sure my family is good, my home is good.
It's because of our culture.
I might be able to help you.
It's because of our culture, and I get it. That's because of individualism in this country, and capitalism in this country. Where that didn't exist back then. It was more collectivist country. I mean, because things were different, technology, whatever. Industry that didn't exist. So that's the big difference. But the principle is like, but how do you apply that same principle? And you're right, we do play it safe. We don't even realize it's like sometimes people's answer is no, we just need to share our money. It's like it's the principle. Like, what are you doing what are you doing with your time?
Yes.
Time is, I think this starts, obviously, because treasure and all that stuff, but what are you doing with your time, and how much of that time is dedicated to like others. People. There it is. See, it just keeps on. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's hilarious.
You know what I'm saying? You feel me? But what do you think about that, bro? I'll keep on going.
Yeah.
It's probably because I'm sucking on this nicotine like a fiend.
What was the question?
What do you think about the whole? I don't know. Like, I keep on throwing stuff at you, but I forgot the last thing I was talking about. I'll just keep on going, but yeah.
Why don't you start something?
Why not start something? I don't know.
What about let's talk about what's going on today.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I ain't gonna start that. I ain't here for no problems, bro.
What do you think about that? Everything going on?
Oh, good question. What do you mean specifically?
The whole,
Okay, so I have a certain point of view about everything. So I'll start politically, I guess. This is the political section. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So so I am. I don't want to put a label on it, so I won't say that. But I hate the state in general. I don't think that we should burn it down and all that other stuff. I'm not a nihilist like that. But just looking at the way that the founders thought about the country, I think that the state getting bigger and bigger and bigger is just not good. And I think that both parties continue to let it get bigger and bigger and bigger for their own gain over the years. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you think about all the wars that they lied us through since Vietnam, and that's a good. And one of the presidents, I forget who it was. I think it was Eisenhower. Was it? I don't know. He said when he was leaving that there's going to be a military-industrial complex if we keep on getting into these wars, and it hasn't stopped. And that was like what, in the 60s?
Yeah, because it's 50s? A moneymaker.
Exactly. So, and both parties, right? Both parties been voting for war since forever. That's So I'm going to get to the point what's going on now, but just politically where I stand, and then I'll go into specifics. So I don't have allegiance to any of these fools because, in my opinion, the Republican Party, they say they believe like the small government stuff, but then again, It's been big government. What the Patriot Act? Which president signed that in? It was a Republican president, right? Bush. You know what I mean? Less government. Now they can listen to everything. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into all of that because people think that's conspiratorial, but it's not. It's actually true.
I agree.
Yeah, of course. So that's how I look at the state in general, and I don't think those parties have answers for anybody. And I think that the politicians and the leaders of our time have done shady stuff from the time when civil rights happened and we were all kind of really just integrating in this country, and this is what they get. And this is the result of what the lies and the things that they have done. Like they as much as you disagree with the Black Panthers or whatever, they violated those cats' civil rights. You're going against what America stands for in the name of America. You can't do that, And if you do that to people and people can see it, they're not going to trust you anymore. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is.
And I agree. I think they've all been in bed together. The Republican, but
my point is that the citizens are going off what the leaders are doing, and even though there's specific things that are happening now, but this has been boiling up since back then. And remember, now at the age of the internet, the reason why people are being like this is because now they can find it out easily, not like it was when we were growing up. So are we going to continue to let these people, you know what I mean? Like, again,
I think right now, though, we're in a real detrimental time.
I agree. That's why I'm doing this.
I mean, and the reason why is because if you look at where the Democratic Party has gone, I mean, they're going way left.
You think so?
I mean, you want to talk about big government. I mean, when you look at Cuba, Venezuela, all of them. The way that
you're talking about like socialism. Yeah.
They're all leaning to the left much, and we got to be careful as a country. We need to make sure that doesn't happen, because if not, I mean, it's the same way that happened to Venezuela. It's the same way it happened to Cuba. I mean, it continually they want to defund police. They want to give you free health care. Where does all that come from?
Yeah, no, I get it.
We get taxed 50% of your check. I mean, you come from Canada.
No, I get it. No, and I would say this, that to me, if you look at Joe Biden, like you say the Democrats, but then when I look at Joe Biden, for example,
he's a Trojan horse.
He wrote the 94 crime bill, right? But Kamala Harris has also been a strict prosecutor too. So my point is that my point is this, is that not just to knock them down, but to say that doesn't sound like way left. That sounds like still kind of like center left politicians. You know what I'm trying to say? I do understand like the AOCs and people like that. There are socialist Democrats, but remember, most of the Democrats are kind of shove them to the side, other than if it can get them votes, so then they let them do the social media stuff. You know what I mean? So my point is, I don't look at the whole party as like that. I'm a registered Democrat, but that's for another reason. But like, because I'm really a libertarian. But because I'm voting against Trump. I'm gonna say it straight up. But But what was I gonna say? Yeah.
Well, I'm a Trump supporter.
Yeah, no, I know. You're my boy, and I love you, and that's what it is.
Definitely,
and you know what I mean? And it's funny, and this is the funny thing, and I didn't plan it out this way, but the fact that people could hear everything that happened before, that you said beforehand, and then hear that you're a Trump supporter is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. But at the beginning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with you on everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I know that you have a heart that wants to help people. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And again, and if I ever want you to change to my mindset, I have to do this. Right? It's not that I'm trying to, you know what I'm trying to say. But if I ever want, it's not that's my main goal. It's not.
Yeah, no,
but if I ever did, I gotta focus on the things that are positive.
But this is what friends do. At the end of the day, we gotta live. We're family, like we said before. You know, that's important to me. I'm not gonna let a political stance get in the way of me being angry or bothered to not be loving towards my family, you know, at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, no, and I do, no, 1,000%. And again, I don't hate, like how everybody hates Trump. I'm not like that either. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I just think him being in there just causes more unrest, and I don't think it's gonna stop if he's in there. Now, again, what would I have to make a choice out of the two. That's kind of where I go with it. But go ahead.
I'm just want to tell you what I think on that. The unrest comes because of what the media has done. It has nothing to do with him, because if you look at him, he's given millions of dollars to black colleges. He's lowered the unemployment rate for blacks and Hispanics. I mean, he's done a lot. And more than Obama did as a black president.
And I get it, and I get it, but I'm not the one that's trying to blame Trump. What I'm saying is, what we need is more than that, obviously, because that happened, and look where we're at. As far as like a society, as far as like the heart of who we're supposed to be, and that's not his aim at all. You know, I don't trust him, so I don't think that's his aim at all. And I think he's proven that through, time and time again. But my whole thing is that. Yeah, first of all, I don't want to blame. It's not about blaming Trump. It's about this government in general. Like going back to what I was saying from the beginning, this government in general that like allowing no-knock raids and how that started. You can look into how that started. That was violating people's rights, and especially poor people, and then especially colored people, because at that time now they're the poor people. You know what I mean? If you let that go on and let these and what was happening, because remember, think about the drug war. The whole drug war is bullcrap. Did you ever hear about that? Anything about that? Reagan's and all of that, all of that was lies. It was to scare people. What I'm saying is, if you do that, and then you think about all the young black males from when you were growing up to all the way to now that have been going through that system over, and not only that, then you're in jail, and then you're learning, and you go back on the streets, and now you're a terror in your own streets because of the justice system, because you overreached to try to get votes. You know what I mean? Because everything's unsafe. This drug thing, again, the media, even back then. So I understand what you're saying, but the media has always been. That's why I'm like, it's not. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not about Trump. What I'm saying is that the policies that have been in our government. Now people can, like I said, they're watching documentaries. There's activists out there telling you. Now and then some of that stuff is wrong. I agree with you. I don't agree with every activist about everything. But then when you look at the history of those laws, you're like, yeah, those things are true. So even if I don't agree 100% with the Black Lives Matter activists, like that stuff is true, and it needs to be changed, because that's why those people are mad. If you change those things, no-knock raids, the drug war, all criminalizing marijuana, all that stuff because the field that we used to work in, some people didn't need jail. You know what I'm trying to say? They needed treatment. But I was saying, bro, did you know that I could pull out a quote right now that when they in the 80s, when they were starting the drug war, they said, yeah, they're doing methadone. That's not what and that's treatment. And talking about, and it was the Attorney General, somebody in Reagan's cabinet, and he's like, that's not what we do anymore. We're locking people up. They decided, they plainly in front of us decided that that's what they're gonna do. And what they did was they made people be afraid of druggies and black people and all. And so the thing is, if a government keeps on doing that, and then the injustice is in your face every day.
Like Biden with the crime bill.
And then Biden was a part of it. I'm not putting him out saying, again, he was a part of it. That's my point of both parties. But all I'm saying is, and. I understand. Of course. So the people.
But this is why I think that.
But listen, the government has power, right? The people don't. Because when you see the people going crazy, and I understand the media's rounding them up and all that stuff, but still, the media isn't the problem. The problem is that people are still getting killed off these laws. That's more of a bigger problem. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, and I get it, but I'm just keeping it real.
No. Listen, don't be afraid. This is us. Nobody's gonna get mad.
But if we go, you yourself, if you right now go and you go through Fort Pierce, you'll be more scared than if you're going to drive through Jupiter. Yes or no?
Depends if there's cops in Jupiter, bro.
Yes or no?
It depends if there's cops in Jupiter.
No, I'm just saying, period. Going through the hood. And it's the same thing
for sure. But how did it get there?
But what I'm telling you is the same thing. As a police officer, they're already going on edge. Even though they're trained, they're still on edge, because, man, my life is more in danger here than it is there.
Yeah, but what I meant was, it depends if there's cops in the rich neighborhood, because they may see me riding through the rich neighborhood. Yeah. But see, your point is this.
No, I knew what you were saying.
But that's a problem.
But listen, but at the end of the day, also, you're going to respond in the right way when you get pulled over.
Listen, no, you're right. But again, why are those laws even there to put somebody and regular citizens that really aren't doing anything in that position?
That's one thing. I think that labeling, it's like we were talking about, prejudice.
Yeah.
It's in our own races.
No.
It's hard to change a mind or anybody.
I get it, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to change people's hearts and minds. What I'm saying is,
but
if
I'm
you
just
change the
saying that
laws,
it's
they won't
there.
be able to do that. Like police officers, that's just one option, that one subject. But police officers, example.
Yeah.
Things that have hurt white people too in this country.
Of course. But again, for instance, like even that last thing, as a cop, if you see somebody going in your car, going to grab something after you try to tase him and you had a fight with him, are you supposed to wait for him to come out with a gun or whatever?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. But again, remember.
But these are the things that they're portraying in the news to make people get unrest. And,
I honestly, I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But again, I think that and maybe if you could bring another point of view in, but like,
do minorities get harassed a little more? I believe so. But as far as killed, 9 black unarmed men got killed last year.
I understand.
Only 9. And they make it where it's, they want to put that divide between the black and white community.
I get it.
And this is what's happening.
I think there's truth to that. I think it's like where you get like people rallying people up as far as like the facts about things, because what the media needs is the click. So they need you they need the headline, they need you to click on it because that's how they get paid. They need you to watch the show. So that's like their I don't say game, but that's their game. That's what they do. So I do 100% agree with that. But again, like, the way I look at it is even those laws are putting police officers in bad positions.
Yeah. You said it before. They're all in cahoots with each other, the Republican and the Democratic Party. When Trump came in, this is why I have respect for Trump, and I'm just saying, when he came in, he wasn't political. He wasn't on any side. And that's why they both hated him. They were scared. Remember, Trump was never considered a racist until he ran as a Republican. He chilled with Puff Daddy, chilled with Snoop Dogg, chilled with all these guys. And they all loved him. What's his name? Al Sharpton, plenty of times.
Well, it wasn't that they were chilling. They just saw him in a public spot and you're taking a picture. I get what you're saying.
They used to invite him to the parties in New York City.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Because we grew up there, and I still remember that.
Oh, so you're saying, it's kind of like in cahoots is what you're saying,
But as soon as he ran, and now, wait a minute. This guy, we can't buy him off.
Yeah, but we gotta understand.
We can't buy him off, and I think that's where all everybody, the media, because they're bought by the Democrats and Republicans, the deep state.
I think that I can't think that way because I asked a lady. A woman that lives in Fort Pierce. She grew up in Fort Pierce. Her dad actually ran the first black-owned textile place. She used to have to go in the back just to serve people on their couch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I used to work with her, and she grew up in Fort Pierce. And I just started asking her her story because that's what I am. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And and that was at the time when did Trump win yet? It was around the time I think he did win. And when I talked to her, she said, I know racism when I see it. So and it wasn't like this irrational thing. It wasn't that she was just watching the news or anything like that. As far as this woman, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but what she shared with me at that moment, I was like, okay, cool. And I took it that way. So now I can't have that mentality. Like, my point is, it was also what he said that people reacted to it, not just the news. They just watched what he said, and they had that reaction the same as the news. Now, again, I'm not defending the news.
Because that's what the news is taking, clips.
Well, I don't know.
They're taking clips and they put it so they could look like he's the bad guy.
No, I get it. But remember, there's some stuff that, like the MS-13 thing, they did that. But then there's some stuff that he said. I can't even remember anything
even the whole Charlottesville thing.
Yeah, the Charlotte. Yeah.
They took that.
I agree.
He denounced.
Because before he denounced, 10 minutes before he said that thing, he said he denounces all white supremacy. Yeah. And I understand that the news does do that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like he's on Twitter all day saying crazy stuff. The whole Juneteenth thing, acting like he didn't know what that was. There's things that. And the reason I think he does it because he knows when he puts his finger in the eyes of those type of people, his voters get hype, and that's the thing that I see that is evil. It's like you're doing it for power, bro. You're playing with our society, with the fabric with our society, and just the thin veneer of peace that we have for votes, and that's where I'm at with him. It's like I can't get it, and even with now with the Republicans letting that happen, I'm like, you guys aren't even conservative. You guys are lost. I don't know what.
But he's got a big majority of black people. You know that?
No,
right?
I do. I understand. This is my point of view. I get it. But what I'm saying is that
I think
that
they
it's hard for me
realize
when
too that
I
he's done a lot for their community. So.
My thing is when I hear somebody reasonable say something to me that convinced me, I can't. I'm like, no, I can't look at that the same way. You know what I mean? Because that person was reasonable. This lady was a therapist. She, you know what I mean? She's not. You know what I mean?
I guess I see Trump as a New Yorker, and he's off the cuff, and he's always that's how he speaks to. You know, he's not a politician.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people expected from him.
No, well, I don't think that's what it. That's what they expect from every president. You're right.
Exactly. And I think he does. Mm-hmm. He's you're gonna throw something at me, I'm throwing it back at you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people kind of.
Of course, and that's what I mean. But the thing is that I feel like it's a failed experiment. You know what I mean? Because look, I mean, again, I agree with you that Russiagate was bullshit. I agree with all of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, again, they're reacting to him. You know what I mean? Like in this extreme way.
They ran that from day one when he came in.
No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, him being in the picture makes them act this way, and it's never going to change.
Yeah.
That's why I want him out the picture, because they're never going to get out the picture. You understand what I'm trying to say?
But honestly, he gets out the picture, I have a feeling our country's going to fall.
Yeah, I think that's more of them telling us. That's them more of being fearful, because I don't think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are like gonna tear down, and Andrew Yang are gonna tear down the world. You know what I mean?
They've done it before. Socialism, man. I'm telling you.
I understand it, and I understand that. You know what I mean? Again, I would rather not vote for either one, but I'm voting. I'm making like a cultural vote for my.
You voting for Kanye?
No. No.
I'm just messing. I
know. I never do that, man. I call him bipolar Jesus. I am voting for no bipolar Jesus, bro. I'm not doing it, but man, I pray for that guy. I hope that he, you know what I'm saying, that he gets the right people around him, and gets the right help that he needs.
Yeah.
That's the Kanye tip. But anyway,
So before we go, I wanted to ask you,
Shoot.
where do you see this going? Where are you trying to get
this as what?
Your podcast.
Well, my podcast is more than me just like doing it as a hobby. It's kind of like an experiment I wanted to do with just talking to people.
Okay.
It's more of me using it for me, but then I want it to go to where I do this full time, that like I want to be able to motivate and inspire people to go for their talents, and not just jump into a Terminex, because they feel like that's what they have to do. Like actually take a risk on yourself and believe in yourself, and want to be an example of that, but also an example of it's not just about believing in myself. Like now that I believe in myself, I'm fulfilled now to pour into others. So that's why it's called Other, and also that because I'm a contrarian at heart, so I always try to be the other. Like even
the devil's advocate.
Not only that, but look at those flags up there. Like I've never really found a home in either of these three here. I've never really found a home either of those places, because I'm a black guy, but I was born in Canada, and I played hockey, and I lived down here, and I grew up in Fort Pierce. I went to school in Fort Pierce. I mean, you know what I mean. So that was always I was always another. You know what I mean. And then, but when I go back to Canada, I'm you know what I mean. Like I'm a Yankee. You know what I mean. But then same thing in Trinidad, because I never been there, but that's my blood. You know what I mean. So and everybody, and my point is not just me. I think everybody is other in a sense, and that's kind of like where I want to take it, to kind of show that these categories and these things that we label ourselves and then we separate ourselves from, but who you really are and who you are is really a mixture of all these different experiences that nobody else has ever gone through or ever will go through in history of all history. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
So every person is unique, but every person is other, and then now you can now understand that, like, so they're learning too. And now we can still, I'm not saying that we should all be on one team, that now you can't be a Democrat or now you can't be a Republican or no, keep your jerseys on, but like, but just learn how to, like, what did Rodney King say?
Yeah.
Can't we all just get along?
Yep.
Life is so crazy, I never imagined the day it would be like this. You can make all of the plans that you wanna, but G.O.D., you know that he got his. Life is so crazy, I never imagined the day it would be like this. You can make all of the plans that you wanna, but G.O.D, you know that he got his. So we laughing at you. Yeah, he laughing at you. He laughing at you. Yeah.